often asked questions I get is, what are your favorite books? Who are your mentors? What are your favorite audios, videos? And how do I read? So in this episode, I'm going to be sharing a few things that hopefully can help you, that have helped me. Once again, I don't believe in ultimatums. I don't believe in teaching, this is exactly how you do it. There's obviously different ways to learn. You can learn through auditory, kinesthetics, visual. Everyone's a different learner. And that's the one thing about when you see these online gurus, these people teaching and trying to go out there and show people stuff. I don't consider myself a guru. I don't consider myself even a mentor. I hopefully can just be somebody that could show you what not to do, maybe sometimes more so than what to do. As Jim Rohn talks about, you can learn just as much from a homeless man as you can a successful multi-millionaire, because you can learn what not to do from the homeless guy who's broke, as opposed to what you can do by learning from somebody who's already done it. So, one thing that I noticed, I wrote some notes here on my phone. I always try to come prepared on these. I'm super tired right now. It's been a long day, but I think what's important is that you have a daily brain budget. People have a budget for what they spend on their bills, for what they spend on food, clothes, and it's important to invest in yourself. My mentor always told me the best investment that you can make is the one in yourself, and also to work harder on you than anything else. People will wait outside for a new pair of Yeezys, for a new pair of Jordans to drop. They'll wait outside for the new iPhone, for a new video game, for a new gaming system. But people won't. Libraries, for a library card, it costs $5. How many of your friends have a library card? A library card costs a Starbucks coffee. And as Albert Einstein said, he said the only location that you need to know the directions to is the public library. Obviously, now we're in the digital age, Google, YouTube, but, I dropped out of high school, but I graduated from YouTube University. YouTube is free. Google is free. And we live in a day and age where there's so much information out there, it's almost like an overload. So I want to share with you guys some of the things that I feel be helpful on your journey. So, if you guys have ever seen that show MTV Cribs, and I know growing up I loved to watch it, see people's houses, but as I've traveled around the world and I go to mentors' houses or people's houses, one thing that I notice is, when we go inside the house, people will go, they'll go to their garage, they'll look at their cars, their exotics, they'll go to their kitchen, they have a big stove, they have a big island and big, kitchen dining room table. They'll go upstairs, they want to see their jewelry, or they want to see their TV or their game room. But when I go into somebody's house, the first thing that I want to see is a library, right? And my mentor said, never trust somebody who has a bigger TV than a library. And I said, sheesh. And 6 years ago, I had never read a book. What really changed my life was when a mentor of mine handed me a book I'll never forget. He gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I looked at him and I said, I've never read a book before in my entire life. He said, well, that's okay, Austin. He said, but I want you to read this book. And I said, look, I'm not going to read a book. I don't read books. He said, well, Austin, let me tell you something. The average American reads about one book a year. The average multi-millionaire CEO reads about one book a week. That's over 50 books per year. And I said, all right, well, give me the damn book. And I read it, and it changed my life. Being a student, I think that, what Anthony Robbins talks about, he says, one of my favorite quotes, he says, when you become successful, you party. But when you're broke, you ponder. And that's something to always keep note of. Always stay a student. Always stay humble. Always be willing to be teachable. One thing that started giving me a little bit of stress and anxiety when I started to really dive into, my industries and started to become a little successful, traveling around, and, I was the guy on a flyer, or I was the person speaking on stage, or I was the person kind of looked to as like, oh, he's the mentor, or he's the guy who knows, or he's the guru, or he's the one making the money. I didn't like that title. I don't want to be the one in the spotlight. I want to be the guy in the back of the room. I always strive to be the dumbest, brokest person in the room. And it sounds kind of aggressive, but you know, if you're the richest person in the room, you know, what can you possibly gain from that rule? Not just rich. When I say rich, that can mean rich in the pockets, that can mean rich in mindset, rich in health, rich in relationships, rich in socializing. There's many different things that rich can equate to, right? So I always try to be the dumbest person in the room, because if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm going to walk out of that room most likely no smarter than when I entered it. So I also look to always ask questions, you know, in conversations. Don't be the person always talking. The more that you talk, the dumber that you can appear, because you're more likely to say something, you know, common, say something stupid. So I'm always trying to ask questions, and the quality of your questions can oftentimes determine the quality of your life. So Sir Isaac Newton said, "If I'm great, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants." And if you think that you don't need to stand on the shoulders of giants, then that's just the most outrageous thing I ever heard. You know, let me show you this. You know, I focus on becoming 1% better every day. You know, people always ask me, Austin, should I read books? Well, let me show you this. Here are people that had mentors. Bill Gates had Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett had Benjamin Graham. Sam Walton, the owner of Walmart, had Ellis Robinson. Zuckerberg had Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had Robert Friedland. Oprah had Mary Duncan. Napoleon Hill had Andrew Carnegie. Thoreau had Emerson. Princess Diana had Christina Fitzgerald. Michael Jordan was coached by Dean Smith and Phil Jackson. Tom Brady by Bill Belichick. Alexander the Great at 15 years old had Aristotle. Plato was mentored by Socrates. Pablo Escobar by Griselda Blanco. I mean, all of my mentors have all had mentors, and I myself have had mentors. And I think I wrote a Facebook status a long time ago. I want to read it to you guys. Check this out. When you change the word from mentor to coach, then the point becomes pretty obvious. Kobe Bryant, in an interview with one of my mentors, said instantly, mentors are the most important thing. He said even people like Michael Jackson, the CEO of Disney, and all different people giving him advice, including last year Mark Zuckerberg, at the time that I wrote this, made a post about starting a book club. And he said, I'm not reading enough. So if Mark Zuckerberg, you know, one of the youngest billionaires in the world, created Facebook, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, needs to read more. I don't know about you, but I know we're close to being as good as an entrepreneur as Mark Zuckerberg. So if Mark Zuckerberg needs to read books and have mentors, I need 10x more than him. He's smarter than me. So he's more successful than me, smarter than me. So if they need mentors, I need more so. If they need to read more books, I need to read books more so. There's a story here I really like. If you guys have ever read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, Total Recall, I haven't read the whole entire book, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is a phenomenal, very interesting character. I was reading a book the other day. I don't think I have it here. It was by Tim Ferriss called, I think it was called Tribe of Mentors. And in the interview we did with him, that guy is quite a character, very smart individual. And one part that I was reading, it says, Arnold Schwarzenegger said his calves were small and his body was really big, but he couldn't get his calves big. And he heard about a guy who had big calves down in South Africa, and his name was Reg Park. He said, I got on an airplane and flew down to him. And he asked Reg, what am I doing wrong? Let me see you work out, right? Flew the whole way to South Africa to learn from this guy to figure out how to get his calves ripped. Reg went on to the calf machine and put on 900 pounds. And Arnold Schwarzenegger had a light bulb go off in his head. He said, I'm doing too many reps. I'm only lifting 400 pounds. Reg Park said, put those heavy weights on, change your game. And just like Bruce Lee was mentored by Ip Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger was mentored by Reg Park. And also, one thing about Bruce Lee, he said, I don't fear the man that knows 10,000 punches. I fear the man that has practiced one punch 10,000 times. So your repetition will be your reputation. That's one of my favorite quotes. Your repetition will be your reputation. Where was I? And Arnold said, my calves got so big that the media started to say I had calf implants, but I didn't. My success was magnified, and it became so big, people didn't even believe it because he had that mentor, Reg Park. Albert Einstein One of the smartest people in history had a mentor. Every Thursday as a teenager, he had lunch with the family of that mentor, talking math, physics, and all types of things. Stephen Hawking had a mentor. Nikola Tesla had a mentor. I don't know about you, but I'm not smarter than Stephen Hawking, Nikola Tesla, or Albert Einstein. So if they need a mentor, I need one more so. Let's see if I have anything else here that I want to give to you guys. No, that's crazy. I wrote this years ago, man. Also, one of my favorite quotes is, I think Albert Einstein said, "Remember, there are no secrets. They are all in books." And one of my mentors told me a quote. He said, "Not everyone who reads is a millionaire, but everyone who is a billionaire reads." So just let that sink in. Think about that. So become 1% better every day. You know, it's really about compressing time frames, obviously, in success. You want to be able to be more efficient and effective, but just focus on becoming 1% better every day. Imagine it for a whole entire year straight, 2, 3 years, 4, 5 years. You know, what I mentioned in one of my previous videos is that most people, they overestimate what they can do in a month and they underestimate what they can do in a year, 3, 5 years, a decade, right? This is a long-term game that we're playing. This isn't just an overnight success. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, you know, about Lionel Messi, Big Sean. They talk about the overnight success. Yeah, it took me 10 years to be an overnight success, right? You know, what you practice in private, you'll still get praised for in public. It's what you see, it's what you don't see behind the scenes that people, you know, get praised for. So, 1% better every single day. People say I don't need to read. You know, that may be true. You know, maybe, but you do need in some way, shape, or form to learn. You know, just to go to school and get a degree doesn't equate to your intelligence. You know, I feel like people, they misinterpret education and intelligence. They're two different things. But continue to educate yourself. You know, they said that the average American, after they graduate with a 4-year degree, only learns about 3 to 5 new words per year. And they are only reading about 1 book per year. And, you know, what do you want to be? Do you want to be average? Do you want to be great? So people that tell me I don't need to read, you know, you do need to learn. You know, we are learning beings. Our brain is wired to be continuously learning. And what we don't use, we lose. So I have some books here. I'll go into them, show you guys some of my favorite books. But everyone can learn differently. You know, some people, I don't personally like to read through a whole entire book. I'll go more into how I read books and how I do learn. But, you know, some people are more visual learners. Some people are more auditory learners, more kinesthetic learners. People learn more by being in person. Obviously, there's different levels to learning. You know, what's more retainable as, you know, your memory. But at first, I wasn't good at, you know, reading books because I never read books. It's kind of like saying, I'm not good at math, but you've never done math. Or I'm not good at algebra, you've never tried algebra. I'm not good at soccer, you've never even tried to dribble a soccer ball. You've never tried basketball and you say you're not good at basketball. Of course you're not good at it, you've never done it. So the more that you do something, taking action, you know, will get you better at it. You know, people say, you know, perfect practice makes perfect. I just think that, you know, taking action, you know, you'll inevitably get better if you have a desire to get better to do so. So, why you need mentors, kind of just went into that. I talked about being the dumbest person in the room. My mentor told me that one idea can double your income. You know, once your mind has been expanded by an idea, it can never go back to its original form. And I feel like my first year in the industry, in entrepreneurship and what I do and all, anything, your first year, your first trial at something is going to be the hardest. But it was through those learning curves that enabled me. You know, I talk about how where I am in my current company, you know, the income that I make, the success that I have, it's attributed to, I mean, not only obviously the people around me, my team, and this, that, and the other, but it's equated to and attributed to what I learned years ago, right? It was what I learned in my first company. It was from putting in that groundwork. So, one thing that really stuck with me is this law called the Law of 33%. Now, what this law basically states is, this is your association law. And there's another law called the Law of 10%. I don't want to forget about this. the law of 10% basically states that you only achieve 10% of what your mentor can teach you. So people say, oh, who should we mentor, this, that, the other. You know, you look at President Trump, he has a whole multitude of counselor mentors, right? You know, he has multiple people that he's listening to. I think that it's important not to deviate and just get confused by learning different things from so many different people. You kind of get lost. You know, this guy does it one way, this guy does it one way, but it's important to have multiple mentors, a multitude of people that you learn from. You can only learn so much from one person. You know, what I try to do is I try to, you know, they talk about double down and triple down on what you're good at. What are identifying what your strengths and weaknesses are. It's one of my favorite books right here, actually called Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. And in this book, it talks about identifying and becoming aware of who you are. You know, if you suck at something, don't try to go out there and improve that. You know, figure out what you're good at. And if you don't know what you're good at, what's the easiest way to figure out what you're good at, what your strengths are? Go to your friends. Go to your family. Hey, Mom, am I good at this? No, son. You actually suck pretty bad at that. But what you are good at is da-da-da-da-da-da. Start asking people around you. Try it out. Start asking the people around you closest to you, what am I good at? Am I good at this? Or am I bad at this? You know, obviously, you know, people's opinions are just opinions, but there probably is some truth to that, because sometimes we have our own egos about stuff, and we get caught up in our own ideas of what we think we're good at. You know, I love playing basketball, but I'm not going to the NBA, right? And I cannot dunk a basketball. I think I'm nice, though. I think I'm really good at ball. I think I'm really good at some things in life, but that's probably not what I'm destined to do and what I'm put here on earth to do. So ask the people around you, right? So you will only learn 10% are achieved. It's kind of like a rule of thumb. It's not to say that you can't have a mentor and then go out there and be 10 times more successful, 100 times more successful. It's the rule of thumb. If I want to make $100,000 a year, I'm not going to go study somebody making $100,000 a year. Does that make sense? I'm going to go study somebody who's at least a millionaire, at least. Deleted my note. But I'm not going to go out there and study somebody making a few $100,000, $100,000. I'm going to study somebody who has 10x at minimum. If I want to be a millionaire, I'm going to study somebody who's made tens of millions of dollars. Right? It's the 10x rule in a sense. Not Grant Cardone's, but it's something my mentor told me about, the law of 10%. Now, the 33% rule basically states that you break down 100%. There's three different criteria. You want to spend your time in these three areas broken down and balanced. You don't want to spend too much time always giving. You have the 33%. The 33% of people at the bottom bracket, which is the people that you're teaching, you're mentoring, you're helping, you're giving to. Maybe you make more income than them. Maybe you're healthier than them. Maybe you're happier than them. Maybe whatever it may be. You are. That's kind of like tithing, or you're teaching, you're helping. Those are the people that, not to say that they can't help you or can't do something for you, but you're more of a big brother to them. You're helping them. So let's say in business, for example, that would be like your students or your employees or people that you're helping. They look up to you. You're the leader. You spend 33% of time around them. And then you have 33% of people that are at your level. Maybe they're your friends, your associates, your coworkers, people involved, whatever it may be, people at your level of influence, your income, your success. And then you have the top 33%. People, obviously, that are mentors to you, that can teach you something. Coaches. I look at these people as somebody that have 20 plus years of more experience in a subject more than me. That's what I call a mentor. It doesn't necessarily just have to be, obviously we look at money as a result of success because it's math. We can measure money. Let me see your bank account. I can tell probably how good you are at something, because if you're pretty good at something, that's why, money is such an interesting thing, because money is a direct result of usually the value that you offer to the marketplace and how many people that you've helped. So if you're really good at something, it's going to show. It's going to show over time, right? Time exposes all or promotes all. So you want to be able to delegate and balance that out. You can't just spend all of your time in that bottom 33%, or you're gonna drain yourself out. You're gonna exhaust yourself out. You're never gonna be learning more. You want to be able to grow more, to serve more. What good are you as a leader? Are you as whatever you're doing if you are not constantly getting 1% better every day and growing yourself? So you want to spend time in each of these areas, right? 30%. I think it's very important that you don't forget to spend time around. Well, what do I do, Austin? 6 years ago, I'm homeless. I'm living in my car. Girlfriend's 8 months pregnant. I'm in and out of jail. I didn't graduate high school. I'm not making much money. The most money I'd ever made in a year was maybe $10,000 a year. How the heck am I going to go find, I want to be a millionaire. I want to make a lot of money. I want to be successful. How the hell am I going to get out of the hood or the ghetto living up in Pennsylvania? Where am I going to go? I can't go to California. I can't go to Silicon Valley. I can't fly down here to Miami. Where am I going? I can't go out to London. I don't have a path. I haven't flown on an airplane before. How am I going? It sounds great, but how am I going to do that? Well, guess what? YouTube's free. Google's free. Books. I see kids out there, people out there, they spend money on the stupidest stuff. Guys, a book by Sam Walton called Made in America at a used bookstore online. You could find this book for $5, right? The amount of money you'll spend on the dollar menu to go eat food. People out there, they won't sacrifice, they won't put down the things that, I call it RRD, rust, rot, and depreciate. People will buy, oh man, I don't have access to the mentors. Bullshit, man. You got a pair of Jordans on. You have an iPhone. Look, I have a cracked iPhone right now. I don't care, man. Oh, dude, your iPhone's cracked. Yeah, you want to know how much money my phone makes me? Your phone may be in great shape, but how much money is actually in your bank account on your phone? Log into your mobile banking. How about you log into your Coinbase account? Log into your broker account. Log into your stuff and let's compare. And that's not ego. That's not being cocky or conceited. That's just showing, like, look, hey man, you gotta prioritize where you're putting your money. As my mentor told me, he said, look, Austin, boys chase ass, men chase assets. You gotta have that kind of mentality. Are you spending your money? My mentor said, Austin, most people spend their money and save what's left. Few people, the successful, wealthy-minded people, they will go ahead and they will invest most of their money and they'll save what's left, right? Go broke investing. If you go broke investing in yourself, I promise you, it'll be one of the best investments you make in yourself. I would rather, guys, there were times where I would not be able to pay my electricity bill, and I would read in the dark. I would rather read in the dark and be buying books and investing in myself for a week than make sure my electric was on. It just comes down to, and that's aggressive, but I know people out there. You talk about the most successful people in the world. You look at somebody like Jerry West. This guy would shoot the lights out of the gym. NBA champion. How bad do you want it? It just comes down to what are you going to spend your money on? People go out there, they spend money on food. You can sacrifice the $40 sushi because the next day you wake up, that sushi is gone. It's good. I love eating food. I love going out. I love doing fun things. I like having nice things. But there's a time and place for that. If you sacrifice what you love, eventually you'll be able to get more of what you love. But if you don't sacrifice what you love intermediately, temporarily, maybe eventually what you love will become a sacrifice. I see kids out, I see people, especially out here in Miami. This is the biggest flex city in America. People out here, they live like a millionaire, but don't have near $1 million in their bank account. They live this lifestyle, but their income is their lifestyle. They don't have extra. People are, they'll spend $500 on a weekend going buying bottles, table service, going out to dinner at Komodo, at these restaurants, and then the weekend's over, and then Monday comes, and it's like, they don't have much money. What did you really invest in yourself? So I think that is the differentiating factor. Observe the masses do the opposite. Well, everyone else is out there, riding the wave, getting the new this, getting the new that. Focus on this, focus on that. You should be focused on yourself, investing in yourself. Like I said, you can go buy Made in America by Sam Walton. This guy literally, built one of the largest companies in the world, Walmart. One part of the book he talks about, he got arrested in Brazil because he flew down to a very successful chain line of stores, and he was on his hands and knees crawling through the aisles trying to find exactly how far apart the aisles were. He was measuring the space between the aisles, and the police came and arrested him because they thought he was a psychopath. This guy was a multi-billionaire on his hands and knees. He was that humble. He dropped his ego and his pride that much. He was that teachable and willing to learn. So if he's doing that as a billionaire, what's your excuse? Make sense? My mentor said, look, Austin, if you read for 20 minutes a day, on average, you'll read 200-page books per year. I read a study one time that said, in the time that you're driving your car, you could learn 2 to 3 full credit college courses per year, right? So turn your car into a mobile classroom. Turn off the radio and put on some personal development. Put on something that's going to actually grow your mind. The same way you memorize your favorite lyrics. I bet if I ask you what's your favorite song right now, you can memorize. You can rap every single lyric, sing every single lyric. That's the same way that success is. You got to reprogram your mind. You got to reprogram the heuristic patterns in your brain that replay over and over and over again. Like I said, your repetition is your reputation. So are you willing to sacrifice that? There was a point in time in my career where I said, look, I'm deleting all my iTunes. I'm downloading only audiobooks, only videos. And I got pretty serious about that. Very serious. Every time I was in the shower, I used to get into arguments with people because they were so sick of being around me when I would cook food. Anytime we were around each other. And people say, well, how do I get around mentors, Austin? You put your headphones in. I would always have my headphones in 24/7. I didn't know these people. When I say my mentor, they're probably dead people. I don't know these. It would creep these humans out. I could walk up to them, know every facet of their life, their children, where they live, their story. They don't even know who the hell I am. These are my mentors. I would study these people over and over and over and over and over again. The same way you listen to your favorite song, over and over and over again until you memorize it. I would replay it and pre-play my future, my success, over and over and over again by learning these things, right? Building skill sets. They say skills pay the bills, right? You need to learn skill sets. Actually learn, not just the motivation, not just inspiration, not just the hype videos. Learn actual applicable skills. What are you learning on a day-to-day basis that's going to get you closer to your goal? That's the real question, right? So, usually when I'm at the airport, I try to buy a book. I do that still time to time now. But a lot of my book collection is downstairs. I have hundreds of books, and a lot of them have come from when I'm at the airport, when I'm out. Like I said, what is your brain budget? People have a budget for everything. Just stay in for a few weekends. Go for 3-4 months. And with Taco Tuesdays, the Thirsty Thursdays, while they go out on Friday nights, happy hour, they go clubbing on Saturday nights. Let me tell you what, let them play. You work. While they're partying, you're grinding. While they're watching TV, you're reading books. While they're cuddling with Bae, watching Netflix, you're putting in the effort, you're growing yourself. Watch how fast life can change in a 3-4 month period if you take things seriously on a 1% daily growth. There's this law that I learned by Stephen Johnson. It's called the law of negative power scaling. It's pretty interesting. What it says is, he basically said if there's a city with 5,000 people and there's a city with 50,000 people, it's not 10 times more creativity in that. You would think that, okay, it's 10 times more, creativity, wealth, whatever it may be. He says it's 50 times greater, because the more ideas that coalesce and intersect in your brain, the more that creativity compounds. So the more that you're consistently working your brain, the more that you're learning, the more that you're driving your creativity, the more that it compounds. It was really interesting, a lot of that one. Philosophy before technique. You know, people ask me, how do I learn? How do I, you know, one thing I needed to get down with the philosophy. You know, I was listening to the Zig Ziglars. I was listening to the Jim Rohns. I was listening to the Earl Nightingales, the Napoleon Hills, the John Maxwells. I mean, I was trying to build myself as a person before I started to learn actual skill sets, right? Building my foundation to build upon. Obviously, you see the Bible here. You know, obviously, that's the number one most sold book of all time. Build your foundation. Become a good person. Become a morally correct person. Learn how to learn. And I think that was what really helped me in my journey. I spent a lot of time trying to build my foundation, trying to build my philosophy because when you build your philosophy, that changes how you are able to go out. When you build that philosophy and it becomes instinctual, right? It's not just book smart or street smart. It's instinctual, habitual, to the point where when you're in business decisions, when you're in life decisions, health, relationships, anything that you go through in life, it's so instinctual because you built that ground foundation of philosophy. It's not just some regurgitated quote or some skill set or these are the 3 ways to do this or here's how, you know, there are a lot of people out there who are book smart but are kind of socially awkward or aren't good at decision making. So that's one thing that helped me. Also, you know, when I'm reading books, there's different kind of books. There's autobiographies. There's how-to books. There's inspiration types of thing. You know, it just depends what are skill set building. So when I read, you know, during the day, or you know, because it depends how you break it down. You know, obviously you want to be focused on your income producing activities, taking massive action in your field, whatever it may be. But when it comes to downtime, guys, you can spend 20 minutes per day, 30 minutes a day, you know, studying, taking notes, reading books, and it'll completely transform your life. Guys, the average American's reading 1 book per year. I'm not a great reader, but let me tell you what, I got to the point where I was learning, listening to so many audios, watching so many videos, so many podcasts, on SoundCloud, on YouTube. I was reading books. Guys, I got to the point, going to events, mentors, I was getting to the point where I was probably getting to, I'd say almost 100 books per year full of knowledge, jam-packing it in. Doesn't mean I'm reading physically 100 books per year, but you equate all the hours and hours and hours of audio. Guys, your subconscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. So what I would do, I realized this, I would fall asleep to audios. Our conscious mind doesn't fall asleep. Now, some people will say, well, look, Austin, you know, when you fall asleep, it's healthy to get into a deep sleep. Yes, that is true. But your subconscious mind is never sleeping. Understand that. So I would put the audio on very low, just low enough. Because if you put an audio on loud, that's your conscious mind picking it up. Your subconscious is very subtle. So I would put the audio on very low in the background while I sleep. I would put on 8-hour audiobooks, 3-hour audiobooks. So the whole entire night while I'm sleeping, I'm learning. And let me tell you what, I would fall asleep. I've never been so happy with falling asleep with an old man whispering in my ear. Let me tell you what, man. Listening to people, like I said, the John Maxwells, Napoleon Hills. I mean, I would sit there and I would learn over. And because when you fall asleep at night, you know, most of you are probably on your phone. That's another conversation. It's not healthy to fall asleep, you know, being on your phone. You know, the blue light, you know, messing up the chemical imbalances in your brain. When you wake up, the first thing you go is you grab your phone. You know, that's when your dopamine, your serotonin levels are at its highest. So it's not good to go and just grab your phone right away, because then you become addicted to your phone. You're also in a reactive and a responding state of mind. So it's good to wake up, grab a book first, listen to an audio first. So I would set my audios up to the point where they'd be on repeat, or I would just wake up and audio would already be playing. What better way to start your day with powerful, positive affirmations, successful implications, or just teachings of something that you're learning. Sorry guys, I'm a little tired. We haven't got much sleep this entire week. But what better way can you end your day and start your day? My mentor said, Austin, in life, the only thing you can control is how you start your day and how you end your day. Everything else in between is madness. So get control of your mornings, get control of your nights, right? So at night times, guys, I like to read stories, right, to put me to sleep. When I'm tired at night, I don't like to be listening to, how-tos. I like to more so take notes and be fully focused and aware and alert to those types of things. So maybe that's more so throughout the day or something, or that's when I'm actually sitting down studying, or in the morning. At nighttime, I like to listen to more inspirational stories, something that can really, I guess you could say in the morning, you can listen to that too to motivate you to get your day started. But I'm looking at night, something more to put me to sleep, a story, right? We read bedtime stories to our kids. My son loves bedtime stories. So for me, I like bedtime stories as well. So I kind of switch it up and I differentiate about how I'm learning as well. So at nighttime, more so the stories, autobiographies. And then throughout the day, I'm learning more of the how-to stuff, the actual applicable skill sets, skill building. Let's see what else I have here. When I read books, what do? I don't read a whole book. What I do is I'll go to a book, and I'll open up the book. This was kind of a short book, Managing Oneself. I read that whole book. But when I go to a book, let's say a book, I don't have it here, it's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I didn't read the whole book. I'll be honest with you, I read very little of the book. I read the chapter called the 10,000 Hour Rule. And let me tell you what, sometimes there's a lot of fluff in books. And you want to be able to differentiate and get through that fluff to find out what's actually pertinent to you that's important. As we talked about earlier, build your strengths. Don't focus on trying to build your weaknesses up, get good at what you're not. My mentor said, Austin, most people get good at what not need be done at all. So don't do that. Don't focus on trying to get good at something you're not meant to be good at or that God hasn't gifted you with. God gives all of us different gifts. So focus on what your talent is, what your God-given ability is, and just compound and exponentially grow what your strength is. So in the book Outliers, I found the chapter 10,000 Hour Rule, and I said, boom, that's all I need to know, baby. 10,000 hours beating on your craft. That chapter changed my life. So they say that, a lot of people want to be, personal development. There's a difference between personal development and being personally developed. There's a difference between personal development and being personally developed.